What's going on, guys? Winter Kills here, and welcome back to a brand new post-commentary duel video. So today we have Danger Orcust, or basically just Orcust, versus Atlantean Mermail. And this is my going second build of Atlantean Mermail, the one that I profiled most recently. The build has changed a little bit, I would say, since that profile. Just been doing a lot of testing. Tons and tons of playtesting on stream, and I also uploaded one of those VODs too if you want to check that out afterwards to sort of get the ins and outs on it. But yeah, also don't forget that we are of course sponsored by Imperium Duelists. If you want to check them out, you can go ahead and check out the links to them in the description. You can save 10% off with that code if you'd like as well. But Orcust having to go first here, and as you can see, did not open up the most optimal hand. Obviously, a pretty optimal first turn board with Orcust, as we know, is pretty much ending on a bomber dragon with Longirsu, pointing to that zone, that extra monster zone that Harp Horror is currently underneath, so you can sort of lock out that extra monster zone to be able to trigger bomber effect, or to be able to use Longirsu effect to send that linked card to the graveyard. And of course, paired with the field spell most optimally, makes that board pretty tough for most decks to deal with, especially a deck like mine that does like to go second, that does sort of build its field as it's going second. Of course, a couple field wipes during said play is going to be something that's going to be very hard to recover from. Like, you know, dealing with several board wipes a turn isn't something that's always going to be something that most decks in general have a hard time to deal with, I guess, except for Thunder Dragons, but maybe other decks that float via destruction. But either way, instant fusion, summoning out Mud Dragon, and then I'm going to activate Destrudo. So I'm paying quite a few life points here to be able to make certain plays, but that was sort of how my build has sort of been designed, is basically around heavy synchro plays, and I think Destrudo fits really well in there, especially with a card like Mermail. So Yazi going to activate here, at least attempt to activate, and he's going to chain Orchestrated Core, which will protect one of his cards from targeting, and I go to destroy Einsatz, but he'll flip that up in response to banish Harp Horror from field to protect it from targeting. And now that, you know, Yazi's in grave, attempt to activate that effect to summon out a worm from deck, which my target would be Mermail at that point. That does get stopped by Called by the Grave, so unfortunately no real plays happening for either player here, just based on certain circumstances. I normal summon Atlantean Dragoons and just decided to poke for 18 and go ahead and pass turn there. Really wasn't expecting that chain of events there to go down. I should have probably attacked with Yazi first, but again, hindsight's 20/20, of course, so can't really predict everything in the long run. But at least I'll poke him for 1800. He does draw for turn, and with Symbol Skeleton in grave and no other Orcust in grave, it really isn't doing a whole lot of good. I don't believe he sent anything off of Einsatz. I actually believe he might have did send something off it. I think that was the Symbol Skeleton, but obviously didn't summon anything else, and is obviously Einsatz summoning a hard once per turn. But again, I draw into, I think, another Destrudo, which I could have used technically to go into something like Gungnir to activate some other effects, but I think I have like double Destrudo and Megalo in hand, which is just kind of unfortunate, as you know, decks in Yu-Gi-Oh! Do brick, but it is what it is. And he does draw into Reinforcing the Army, which can grab him a couple targets in deck. Obviously, Grepher and that one of Armageddonite that's still hiding somewhere in the deck. And I believe I have Called by the Grave set as well. So I could potentially just banish whichever card he decides to send here. Most optimally would probably be Harp Horror. So you can use that effect to summon out like you know, the Brass Bombard from his deck. Link there, you know, go into Galatea, sort of get the deck going like it's supposed to. Just start link climbing, start recycling cards and activating effects. You know, returning your banished machines, but obviously that Call by the Grave that I have is going to stop him short there and hit that Harp Horror. 2 Harp Horrors down now, and just an Armageddonite sitting there. Not really a whole lot that can be done I suppose he could have grabbed Dark Grepher and discarded a card and sent a card, but I'm not really sure what else is in his hand. I believe it was double Malicious, but obviously no, Malicious is at 2 now especially, so even if he did have the chance to discard one of those, it would just sort of sit blank in his grave. So that really doesn't do a whole lot either way. I guess grabbing the Armageddon Knight in this situation isn't, you know, the worst thing to do. So pass back to me, and I see the Deep Sea Diva, and I go for obviously the Prince off the Diva, and go to, you know, use Prince, send Dragoons, add Dragoons, Megalo here. And, you know, I still have a couple Destrudos left in hand. Not that I want to use both of them, but I figured at this point where I can sort of go for game here, the only thing he can sort of do is protect something from targeting via the core, the orchestrated core, I believe, which isn't too big of a deal. So I go for Destrudo here again, and now obviously I target, I believe I target Diva here. I could now target Dragoons to go for a level 7, which is something I do not want to do, because I can actually make a pretty interesting play here via Synchro summoning. So I believe that Destrudo ended up targeting Dragoons, and as I summon a Megalo here to search out Mizuchi and Moulin Glacia. And I do use that Neptibus to go ahead and link summon into Link Karibo. Link Karibo, one of the mainstays in the extra deck currently. I only play 3 Link monsters in my current build too. It's Mistar Boy, Unicorn, and Link Karibo. And I go ahead and Synchro into Crystron, Quarian Gandrix, which on summon activates effects. I can banish up to as many cards in his hand, or on his field or in his grave, equal to the number of materials that I used. So that effect does go ahead and resolves. He could have technically, as I do try to banish his Armageddon Knight and 2 cards in grave, he could have technically used his Orchestrated Core to banish one of the cards that I was going to banish in grave, and that sort of, you know, target fizzles, because it does target. It's not like, you know, Trishula, which doesn't target, so I would be able to choose another card from grave. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. I have so much damage on field already, and Orchestrated Core cannot save Armageddon Knight because it is not an Orcust card, I believe. So, pretty interesting Synchro monster that I'm starting to play now in Mermail, because with Destrudo and Instant Fusion, or Destrudo and Deep Sea Diva, and later on when we get the Hooked Shinin' Cincher or the Rainbow Treasure Dragon, whatever it ends up being called, that will be a lot more easier and more accessible play to be made, because it's such a very powerful card. And when it dies, it has the ability to float and special summon a banished monster. It doesn't say whose banished monster it has to be. You can just summon it out. So it can be very, very potent card coming out at 3,000 attack and defense. So pretty cool. And it does require 2 tuners, so that's why you do have to use Diva and Destrudo, or Diva and your Sea Monster of Theseus or the Rainbow Treasure Dragon in the future. So we'll see the Grepher play here, sort of get him into the Galatea, and Galatea grabbing Einsatz. He did open up the field spell, ironically enough, which is actually pretty rare, considering that it is a 1-of in the deck with how easily it is able to recur itself. Double Jackalope here in hand, I believe he had. I kind of said, you know, you should have tried to use the Jackalope at the beginning of the turn, because odds are you would have a better chance of getting summoned on field for Link fodder, and also better chance of obviously getting that extra draw into sort of any other extender. But my brother is pretty new to Orcust, so you gotta keep that in mind. And go ahead and using Mothman here and Galatea to just go ahead and link climb into Longirsu. Again, just like I played Orcust plenty of times on stream, and I know how capable the deck is to be able to make solid plays. It's just, it takes the right amount of extenders to end on that field of Bomber Dragon and Longirsu, and anything short of that sort of ends up looking like what you see here. Just a couple of co-links or linked monsters that don't do a whole lot. You just kind of got to hope your field doesn't get cracked too much, and you can just sort of rely on your other cards in grave to sort of help you out next turn. And especially with a card like Einsatz, you want to have as well and the field spell up as possible, because those help as well, because you can use your link monster effects, of course, during either player's turn. So you could use Galatea here if you wanted to you know, go ahead and grab another spell trap if you wanted to grab like Orchestrated Return for draw power next turn, guaranteed draw power. You could grab that as well, and you could also use that effect to send something that's linked using Longirsu, and of course that'll become a quick effect with the field spell. Anytime a normal or special summon, you can send an Orcust. You can either send or banish like an Orcust or World Legacy card from hand. So you just have that at his disposal there. And on the normal summon of Deep Sea Diva, he goes ahead and Foolishes Horror, and obviously Deep Sea Diva brings out Neptibus now. Neptibus activating its effect to send Dragoons, add Dragoons, and Megalo here. I've got to be careful to avoid the 2 zones that Longirsu is pointing to on my side of the field, because if he does, he can get rid of one of the, you know, good pieces of the puzzle, if you will, which will basically allow him to stop one of my plays. And now I make a risky play here. Seeing that he only has 1 banished, I go right into Link Karibo, and I'm sort of waiting to see what he's going to decide to do here. And I've dropped that Deshudo down now, targeting Deep Sea Diva. So that'll drop Deshudo down to a level 5, with the Diva is level 7, plus the 2 from Infantry will be 9, so possibly another Corian Gandrix play here. No, this build isn't meant to be Corian Gandrix Turbo. It just sort of ended up being that way for this match. So he does use Harp Horror during my turn, after the summon of Deshudo, to summon out Symbol Skeleton, sort of meet that requirement of 2 banished machine-type monsters for Longirsu. So he technically could use that now to basically send my Diva, but I can still make a 7 at that point as well, which is still just as good as the play I'm about to make. Might even be a little better. I just sort of went and got a little greedy here. But I go for Corian Gandrix. Uses effect on summon. I can banish up to 3 things from his field or graveyard. And I believe my camera battery was about to die or almost died early. That's why there was that cut there. So I had to go and quickly throw in a new one. But I banish his field spell, Longirsu, and the Harp Horror Engrave. And he does change Longirsu, though, to send that to the graveyard. And that will not trigger Corian Gandrix's effect, because it was not destruction that it was being removed from the field by. But he will be able to chain and clear that out of the way, because that would be a pretty big problem card for him to leave there, just a 3k beat stick. So it does clear that out of the way, and sort of saves himself a little bit there from any more further damage, if you will. And now I've got 4,000 life points. I set one. I activate Foolish Burial because I do play Foolish Burial in here. There's quite a few cards in here that are really good targets. To be honest, I should have sent Sea Archiver, which is a card I'm playing. Basically, if anything is summoned to normal or special summon to his own link monster points to, you can summon it from your grave or hand and banish it when it leaves the field. So just a level 3 Cybers. I should have sent that instead, but I sent Fishborg Launcher because I thought it might come up, since everything in my grave is water. So I do Soul Charge for 3. Make sure everything is placed in the right zone. Go for Coral Dragon, and I do have a Dragoons in hand that I just wanted to, you know, get the effect for. So I use Coral Dragon to discard that, destroy his Galatea, and obviously clear that off the field, which is nice. Basically, my build just wants to just blow a bunch of things up, banish a bunch of things, and just try to do tremendous amounts of damage afterwards. That's just sort of how I modeled the build, I guess. I know this sounds kind of weird, but and I just want to do a lot of Synchro summoning too, because that's just been a lot of fun to play all these tuners and Synchro cards. So you'll see the Yazi come down, and I basically just Synchro into Yazi because I want to get that draw off Coral Dragon, and Yazi is just a little bit better than leaving Coral Dragon, I guess. Summon Megalo, discarding Infantry and Neptibus. Go ahead and search out that Mizuchi, and Infantry is going to destroy Einsatz, I believe, and I didn't really want to activate the Neptibus, but I believe it is mandatory, so I do have to summon something for it. I could have summoned Infantry and Defense if I was worried about damage, but I'm thinking he's got to summon something that has 2,800 attack to be able to get over that and kill me, basically, which I really wasn't worried about, especially since I have Link Karibo. So I just sort of said, you know, we'll just bring out Dragoons. It doesn't make too much of a difference. And I do have a set called by as well. So he does activate Foolish Burial. That does get negated automatically by Mizuchi. And at this point, with one rabbit, or jackalope in hand, I should say, uses that. Obviously, will be the only thing that can get discarded. I will call by it. Goes into battle phase, and I just go ahead and use Link Karibo there anyways. At least that's what he wanted to do, so I do burn the Link Karibo. Obviously, just nothing else to do there, so I will take the match 2-0 Atlantean Mermails over Orcust. Orcust, I think, could easily win this matchup 100%. Just granted, a little bit better opening. The deck isn't that consistent, but it is consistent enough for the point that I still like really enjoy playing it. I wouldn't let this match deter anybody who was thinking about picking up Orcust, because like I feel like this is one of those matches that could have gone completely opposite direction, as in Mermail getting 2-0 very, very easy. And I guarantee you, if my brother had a bit more experience with Orcust, or at least a bit more experience with this matchup, and I guess both of us, I should say, because I feel like Orcust is one of those decks that could easily go second against Mermail, mainly because Moulin Glacia, at least with my build, I don't play the hand loop build, so he doesn't have to worry about losing all of his cards to a hand loop. But I think, you know, the biggest start for him, with me going first against him, is just Moulin Glacia, maybe Moulin Glacia and Trish. So losing 2 to 3 cards. But, you know, having some of the stuff discarded really doesn't hurt him that much. It almost benefits him. So I think maybe he could have gone second to get a head start in some cases, and hope that I open subpar, sort of vice versa. So again, this is one of those matches that I feel like could have gone either way. But regardless of the outcome of the match today, I hope you guys enjoyed. And don't forget to check out our sponsor, Imperium Duelist, down in the description. They got a brand new playmat that is out as well. I still haven't gotten in the mail yet, unfortunately, so I can't show you guys. But hopefully I will be able to soon. It's a tour guide themed playmat. It looks absolutely gorgeous. I recommend checking that out. You can get it for 10% off with that code. Join Discord. Follow me on Twitch if you haven't already. Facebook and Twitter. All of these things. Hope you guys are having a good one. As always, been Kill. Sending out. We'll see ya in the next one.